Knock, knock, everybody. Derick Van Ness here, wealth strategist, investor, life adventurer, and today I want to talk to you about a planning horizon. Now, if you don't know what a planning horizon is, you're totally missing out. It's going to blow your mind how important this is. So grab a pen and paper and sit down for the next few minutes here. We're going to change the way that you view the world. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand what a planning horizon is, how to use it for your success, and why it's so important. So let's talk about that real quick. What is a planning horizon? A planning horizon is how far into the future you're looking to be able to make a plan for your future and build towards success. Now, a lot of people, they might have a year or 6 months or 2 years or 5 years or whatever, and all of those are great. It's just that most people don't have a real planning horizon. January 1st comes around, they sit down, they pull out their journal, and they write out a couple of goals for the year, and that's it, right? New year, new you, and then 3 months later, no new you, right? So we want to talk a little bit about what's the difference and why is it so valuable? The first thing you want to know is this. When you have a short planning horizon, in other words, you're just looking right in front of yourself. Maybe you're living day to day, week to week, even month to month. You're missing so many opportunities. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you were planning a vacation and you decide, I'm going to go on vacation tomorrow, right? So a very short planning horizon. What's going to happen? You're going to pay full price for every flight, every hotel, every activity, everything, because you haven't had a time to shop, to figure out the best places. Chances are really good that you're going to go to places that aren't the best tours or aren't the best things to see, no insider stuff. You're going to miss out on so much. So basically, you're going to pay the maximum and you're going to get the minimum, and that's not going to be great for what you're trying to accomplish with your trip. So let's say we bump it out 3 months from now. So if you have 3 months, you can shop for flights, you can shop for hotels, you can look around, do some research, find the best tours, and that can make a really big difference in the experience that you have, and it will be significantly better than if you try and plan for tomorrow, right? But let's say you want to go in a year or 2 years from now on a trip. Now you can really shop around. You can save up sky miles and certain kinds of points. You can ask for friends for referrals and different kinds of things. You can do so much more. You can shop for so much longer because you've got that planning horizon. You're looking further into the distance. So what you're able to do with your money goes so much further, and the experience you can have with your family is going to be so much grander. So that's a simple example of extending your planning horizon. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's great, Derick, but I'm already planning further in advance. I look a year ahead and make plans, and we run our numbers and all of that kind of stuff. And that's great. But here's the thing. If that's as far as you're looking ahead as 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5 years, you're still missing a massive opportunity. And I want to tell you more about that. But before I do, if you like this video, give us a like, a thumbs up, or subscribe to the channel. And if you subscribe, do 2 things. 1, hit the bell down there. It'll let you know when we put out videos. We put out 1 or 2 a week. But this really helps the channel. And the second one is, if you're a new subscriber, write it down below in the comments. Just put I subscribed. If you have questions, you can put them down there as well. And I will personally answer all of those and make sure that we stay on top of this for you guys. So that really helps the channel. I appreciate the break. Now let's go back to, why is this bigger planning horizon, this thing that's a year or more in advance, coming out and thinking that way, why is it so important? And there's a cliche out there that says people drastically overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they drastically underestimate what they can do in 10 years, right? In a decade. And so how does that happen? Well, you're watching me on YouTube or on Facebook, and both of those places are a perfect example of the snowball that can happen over time. And so what we want to be able to do is understand the snowball, understand long-term ramifications, because it's going to make a massive difference. Just to give you an idea, some of the Fortune 500, some of the governments in the world, we're talking about 100 and 200 year plans, their planning horizon. If you look at the Catholic Church, this is crazy. The Catholic Church, I believe, is the biggest landowner in the entire world. I own some property up in Palmdale, which is north of Los Angeles, and it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours out of downtown Los Angeles, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. Guess who owns all of that land? The Catholic Church. they're buying stuff in anticipation of people being able to, as the expansion happens, moving out there. Maybe it's 50 years from now, maybe it's 100 years from now, but they're looking so far ahead that they're getting this stuff rock bottom prices, right? Pennies on the dollar, they're buying this land. And then when it's finally in demand, guess who's going to cash in? Now, I realize you may not have 200 years like the Catholic Church does, right? Most of us don't, unless they figure out some crazy AI, how to keep us alive stuff. But the principle remains the same. If you have a 5-year, 10-year, 50-year vision for what you want to accomplish, it makes it so much easier to do the right things now. So often when we have a short planning horizon, we get stuck in survival. What do I need to do today to pay my bills tomorrow? What do we do today to pay my bills tomorrow? Over and over, and Groundhog's Day, right? But what if you're looking at a 50-year vision, you're like, you know what? All I have to do today is I got to pay my bills and do all that, but I also got to move 1 inch in the right direction. I got to learn one new skill. I got to build one new client, one new relationship, figure out one thing to move forward, because I know that over time, 5 years, 10 years from now, we're going to have that snowball going, right? And if you look at algorithmic growth and the way that things happen, especially digitally, but also with client bases, is they start off small, and at first the growth is imperceptible. So if you're just in the 1 day, 1 month, even 1 year growth cycle, you may have a really hard time seeing it, right? But if you can zoom out, all of a sudden you can see that, hey, so-and-so started a YouTube channel, and I'm going to give an example of someone I'm somewhat familiar with, because he posts about this a lot, is Evan Carmichael, right? And he posts that on his YouTube channel, which now has several million followers, his first year he only had like 100 people. And the second year he had like 250. And the third year he had like 1,000. And the fourth year, I mean, you look at it, I've been doing this for 3 years, and you're thinking, I've only got 1,000 followers? Like, this is crazy, right? But all of a sudden he went from like 1,000 to 10 to 30 to 100. And now he's on that part of the snowball to where he's seeing massive growth every single month, every single year, because he had the big vision, he stuck with it, he knew the right things, he put the key things in place that eventually built the infrastructure for that massive growth long term. So I want you to start thinking about that. Look at your business and say, you know, if I had a massive vision, let's just say 10 or 25 years from now, how big a deal would each of these little ups and downs be? It probably wouldn't be that big a deal. Emotionally, you're looking at the big picture. The way that you handle all the bumps and bruises along the way isn't that big a deal, because you know, I'm not worried about today so much. I mean, you still have to worry about today, but I'm looking at the big picture. I know where we're going. I know how this is going to happen. And this is what takes place in movements. When we see, you know, we just finished the elections, when we see political swings from one side to the other, you know, one of the things that won the election for Joe Biden recently was what happened in Georgia, right? And they were interviewing the gal who's been there, and they said, wow, your work in the last year or two has really been making a big difference. She's like, we've been doing this for decades, right? We had the vision to get our people who we know, who align with our ideas, registered and built the infrastructure so they can show up, they know, they're informed, and they can vote, right? That's a movement, and that's what you want to create within your business. And the only way you're going to do it is by extending your planning horizon. So I want you to look out 10 years or more and say, where do I want to be with my life and my business 10 years from now? And I'm not talking about vision board kind of stuff. I'm really talking about what's the impact we want to have in the world. And I want you to take what you think you can get done, and I want you to double it and say, what would it take to get there? And what are the things I need to be doing today? When you have that big vision out there, that like lighthouse in the fog, the North Star, the thing that's going to guide you through the hard times, it changes the entire game. Right? And so I want you to look at this and say, how do we create that extended planning horizon for the long term? And then let's dumb it down and let's start looking at things at a minimum every single time we sit down and make plans of a year or two in advance, and start thinking, what seeds do I need to plant now so that I can harvest 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now? That's exactly what we're doing with this YouTube channel. I don't think it's going to be explosive growth overnight, because almost nobody gets that. But I know that 3 years from now, we're going to have 1 million followers or more, and we're going to be having a massive impact, and you're part of that. So I want you to think in those terms for your business. I want you to extend that planning horizon, how far out you're looking, and see what happens. Sit down with your journal, take a few minutes, and it will transform your life. So, if you got some value from this and you didn't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let your friends know about this. I love helping people be successful, and I want you to be here. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by.